I picked the worst times to try and like move bags. I'm trying to swap the backpack into this. I hope I've not forgotten anything because we're running way late and we're going. Oh, and I've also moved my laptop and all its associated bits into a proper laptop bag. So, yeah. Why I'm doing this first thing in the morning before we go somewhere, I have no idea. I suppose because we're going somewhere, I'll get to try them out. Yeah, moving bags for me is a little bit like moving house, except not quite as time consuming. This is going to be a predominantly friends and family sort of day, so I'm just going to have to kind of grab shots when I can. Hope that's all right with everyone. And I'm also hoping at some point to have a proper look at the Model Y, because at the moment that's what I want to talk about, obviously, but I don't know anything about it. I didn't see the webcast thing from the night before, the release, and I assume it's just like a Model 3 with a crossover's body, but hey, we'll find out in a minute. Jasper's a bit on the hangry side, aren't you? That's all right, because we are going to go grab some... Oh, I've got lots and lots of research to do. By the time this video goes up, it's going to be one of those annoying things that it's like way out of date, and everyone will be like, oh, I'm so past the Model Y, so over it. It's difficult, especially when you're out. I mean, we're out for like the whole weekend, so I've ditched the others. I'm trying to find myself. Well, I'm still looking for a new camera pouch for this camera, but I'm also trying to find a tray to stick my laptop on when I'm doing some editing away from the house, and I'm struggling. I know exactly what I want. I can't think where to get it, or how to get it, or see, I'm gonna have to do a bit of like take something that's not designed to be a laptop tray and then turn it into a laptop tray. The high street really is dead. There's nothing. There's betting shops and charity shops and fast food places. That's it. Bye. Righty. Thanks for moving your car, Justin. I feel really sorry for people who have EV driving friends, because they're always being asked to like move their cars and stuff so that the EV drivers can plug in. We're such an inconsiderate bunch, aren't we? Just we're a pain. Right. You know, I still haven't had the opportunity to watch this Model Y unveiling. It's gonna happen. It is definitely gonna happen. That's the reason why I needed to plug it in straight away. 24 hours to charge. Yikes. Guess he's just woken up a little bit on the wrong side of the bed.
You heard me, Jasper.
This is not going to work. It's very much morning, and I have now watched all the Model Y stuff. Looks like a great car, and I think it will do well, but I think it will do well because of the demographics behind, you know, people buy more SUVs, and people like liftbacks or hatchbacks or whatever they call it at the back, where it goes all the way up, and they're like, oh, I need a coffee.
Jazzy? Do you want some breakfast then?
Bit quieter now. Fantastic. So this Model Y. Well, So's first impression was she did not like how it looked. But then I think the sort of look started to grow on her a bit. I think it's one of those, I think it's a grower. You know, I think when you see it in the flesh and when you get used to it a bit, you'll like the look. I like the look, actually. But it does have a slightly sort of jarring initial appearance because it is sort of smoother and more rounded and sleek and doesn't have those big sort of air intake sort of design cues that a lot of cars tend to have. They almost seem to be designed to be unaerodynamic because of course they're trying to suck in air to cool the massive, great, wasteful ICE engine thing. I know I just said like a pin number there, if you know what I mean. Yeah, I think it's going to do fantastically well. I think it's going to do well because it solves what for me would be the problem with the Model 3, which is that I like having a big lift gate at the back. You can put things in so much easier. You can put larger things in. If you've got dogs, you can have them in the back there. You can go camping in the back of your car. You know, things like that. There's lots of little things that you can do with that bigger opening, I always feel. And on top of that, it is nice to have a bit of a higher driving position as well, better visibility over the road, especially as so many vehicles these days are like whopping great high tank Land Rover type things. And the other great thing, of course, which is very pertinent at the moment because I'm in a household with 4 children and 2 adults, so 6 people, normal 5-seater cars not going to work for them. You can get a 7-seat option. I do think that's a good thing. Obviously, you're not going to fit 7 fully grown adults in there and then drive for 8 hours and everyone's going to get out going, well, that was a nice, comfortable drive. It's not that kind of big. You know, even any car would struggle with 7 in it doing that. That isn't like a van. But it gives you the possibility as a family with more children, especially when those children are small, to drive a more reasonably priced electric vehicle that can still do the range. And doing the range is important because it's being able to take your massive family on a road trip rather than have to book flights and have no fuel to pay on that road trip. That's where it starts to really make sense, owning an EV. It's almost like a smaller Model X done right. Because I mean, I love the Model X and I love those big fancy Falcon Wing doors and all the rest of it, but let's not get it twisted. It is a hideously complicated vehicle and those doors are very complicated and add a substantial quantity of cost to your purchase price. And for some that's fine, but for most people they would rather have something 20 grand cheaper with normal doors. Makes sense. Right, we're going to shoot now and I don't know what we're going to do.
Hello.
See?
Vlog,
Hey.
it's me.
Yes, and how many people do we need to fit in this van?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Exactly. So the 7-seat Model Y would be a good idea. At least for this bunch. And we're ready to go. So, hello Jasper, I thought you'd already gone into the house. Let's close that door, there we go. See you inside in a sec. You know, the Model Y, it's quite polarising from a looks point of view, but I do think it's something that, as I said, people will get used to over time and they will get to like the look over time. That's often what happens with slightly more unusual looks that are not necessarily bad, they're just not what people are used to. And the other thing is, I mean, okay, so we have just come from seeing a bunch of friends who have loads and loads of kids, but I think the ability to have 7 seats in something that is a bit smaller and a bit cheaper but still has the range, and if you pay for it, the performance too, I think it's going to do really, really well. I really do. I think this is going to be a real winner for Tesla. It's kind of a departure from what they usually do because, you know, unlike the Model X, they've not thrown every toy and every kind of bit of technology that they possibly could at the problem. And I actually think the car will be the better for it. You know, more reliable, more affordable, and just generally fit the use case that it was designed for in a slightly better way than the Model X. I mean, the Model X is fantastic. When I watched the Elon Musk presentation, one of the things that stood out to me was that it was 90% about the history, about how Tesla got to that point and the things they've learnt over time. And they put every bell and whistle they possibly could on the Model X, and they learnt from the mistake that was. I mean, it's a fantastic car. It's a masterpiece of a vehicle, but it's also hideously complicated and therefore expensive and potentially less reliable, although, I mean, who knows? Who can say what the doors will be doing in 10 years of opening and closing? But you could say they did the same thing with the Model S's door handles, in the way that they sort of come out and go back in. It's sort of perhaps slightly more complicated than it needs to be, and Tesla did get punished for that. I have had 3 of my 4 door handles sorted out free of charge. I do quite like the way they pop out, but I don't think I'd pay extra for that. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, remember to like it, share it, subscribe if you haven't already, and follow me on Instagram and Twitter if you don't already, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye. So, moving into a new bag. Smaller, more compact design.
Oh yeah, another bag.
Well, I haven't used this one before. I bought it about 3 years ago. It's never been used. Yeah, so I figured, time to take the plunge.